Hi, this is Mr. Abear, and I want to show you now that I have imported my graphics file into Illustrator and set my my artboard at the right proportion and covering the area that I want it to cover, how I am going to proceed to trace and paint. Now, one thing I want to note, I set my artboard to be at 2 by 3 proportions. You could also set it at square proportions and be able to print a nice picture. So, either 2 by 3 or 1 by 1. Alright, so the first thing you need to do now is select the image that you imported and choose Live Trace. I like to go to the arrow and choose Comic Art, mainly because Comic Art seems to work with curves generated from GeoGebra. Now the next thing is to go right to Live Paint, and now I have a live paint object, and if I click away it won't all be blue like that. I don't like that when it's all blue. And then I can get my paint bucket and I can hover over different areas. These are the areas that will be painted when I click using the paint bucket. See how this all turned like to pink lines there where I hovered over the wrong spot? That is because I'm actually proposing to paint the lines themselves, not the spaces between. So we don't really want that. We want the spaces in between. Sometimes you might hover over an area and it'll actually light up two different areas, and that could be because the areas aren't really truly closed. To deal with that, you go to the Object menu, you go to Live Paint, and you go to Gap Options. And then you turn on gap detection, and you can set this to medium or large gaps, whatever you like. Anyway, it doesn't seem to be a problem with mine, and that's fine. Okay, now see how this is highlighting the whole entire area to the left of my artboard? That's okay because the only part that's going to show up is what's within the artboard. So even if I paint this whole area a very bold color, that won't appear on the actual image print. Only what's inside the artboard rectangle will appear on the image print. So as for how to color it, I like to go to Swatches, which is this guy on this toolbar, and I like to go to the folders and choose Art History or Color Properties or Earth Tone. This is all kind of fun. Nature is fun. But I'm going to go to Art History and I'm going to choose Baroque. I like these color palettes. And these ones that go across are nice sets of colors that are designed to go well together. So I think I'm going to choose one of the bigger ones like this. And then I'll just set to painting. Let's see. I think I'm going to choose this really dark one for my side, and then I like to paint a few more of those, and I'd like to sort of make them kitty corner from each other, because the original inspiration for this type of project was a stained glass window, and you would never have two dark brown panels next to each other in a stained glass window. Alright, that's pretty good, and maybe I'll put it here on the other side too. Just complete the effect. Now I can use some of these lighter ones in between, like this. There we go. Nice. And maybe I'll do that. Okay. And I can choose a really light brown. And I'm just sort of coloring the panels as I wish. And there's one more color in here. Let's use this sort of rusty color. Not bad. Okay, well, I've got space for one more. Maybe, is there another one yet? Sure, is this even a different brown? Yeah, it is. And I like that. Oh, it's kind of like a Thanksgiving color palette, isn't it? So now I've got all the regions inside my artboard colored in. And the next thing to do is to make a picture of this. I'm going to go then to Save for Web and Devices. I'm going to choose Image Size, and here's where it matters what size I want to print this at. I'm going to pretend I'm just going to print a regular 4x6 inch photograph of this. So the rule is 300 dots per inch. For 4 inches, that's 4 times 300, so the smaller dimension is going to be 1200 pixels. And once you type 1200, the other dimension, the height, automatically adjusts. So this is 4 by 6 inches on a high quality printer. Don't forget to choose Apply. You also want to make sure that you are set to JPEG and maximum here. And it'll just make your picture look really, really big, which if you want to see what it was going to look like, you could choose Fit on Screen and it'll resize it to this little screen. Then we can go to Save. Essentially we're saving this as a JPEG, just like that. So I'm going to call it derivativeart3.jpg, and I'll save it. And that has now been saved. I'm still back at my Adobe Illustrator file, which you should also save. So I'm going to save my Adobe Illustrator file. I'll call it derivativeart3, which is okay because this is a .ai file and won't compete with the .jpg file. Choose Save. It'll bring up some options. I'll say OK to those options, and now I have completed an art image. Probably you can do better than this.